All right, this is Docendo number 43. Let's take a look at our sentence here. The muddy tracks leading to and from the cookie jar were enough to incriminate them. So we've got muddy tracks. So in this case, the tracks is a noun and muddy is an adjective, right? And we don't put commas between adjectives and nouns in this case. So the muddy tracks leading to and from the cookie jar. And again, we have a coordinated conjunction here. But remember, we only use a comma before it when we have a complete thought. And this is not, because we don't have the subject. So get rid of the comma there. The muddy tracks leading to and from the cookie jar were enough to incriminate them. We're not saying we are enough, we're saying were enough. And again, that's the plural verb, which relates back to the subject here, which is the tracks, which is plural. So that makes sense. We have subject-verb agreement. So I think that is it. So incriminate relates obviously to evidence of a crime. And discriminate is to distinguish between things by noticing small differences. So discriminating, again, we might think of discrimination, which is a negative thing, but we also use that in contexts that aren't negative in the sense where we make judgments about things. And that's that's the crime part there, as in making a judgment about distinguishing something small versus large, for example. So two good verbs, incriminate, discriminate. And again, our changes we made there, we got rid of some commas. We should know why we did that. Again, this would be a basic simple sentence. The muddy tracks leading to and from the cookie jar were enough. There's the verb in the middle. All right, a couple words here just to review from previous words early in the year. We have a synopsis, which is sing things together, as in a brief summary. Should remember that. And again, it has to do with same, so you're seeing these things all together. That's the sameness idea. And then, of course, a synonym is a word or phrase that means exactly or nearly the same thing. And, of course, we are very alert to the idea that we have synonyms, but we can't just use words indiscriminately. We have to discriminate against words to find the best word for the best context. So synonyms are nearly the same, but there are definitely distinctions we need to make. All right, now going back to syntax. Last time we talked in lesson 3 about adjectives and adverbs. Another kind of term you should know, and again, the only time I give you terms here is when you kind of need to know them. And this is just a matter of we need to be able to talk about these things, and we can't really talk about it unless we have a vocabulary. So basically, when you have a sentence, your subject is simple if you have one thing you're talking about, one subject. So Jack is the subject. That's called a simple subject. If we have more than one thing as our subject, person, place, or thing, noun, then it's called a compound subject. So if we say Jack and Jill laughed, our subject is compound. Very, very simple. But I just want you to know that distinction because sometimes a subject is simple, one thing, sometimes it's not. To make this a little bit more complex and add a little bit more variety to sentences, the same thing happens with predicates, the verb part of the sentence. So simple predicate is one predicate. Mary hit the ball. Hit is the verb. But oftentimes we write about more than one thing. So just like when we add something to the subject, we can add something to the predicate. So instead of hitting the ball, Mary hit the ball and ran to first base. So now Mary's doing two things. If she was doing three things, it would still be a compound predicate. So again, very simple terminology, but that's just another way we take a basic kernel sentence. And how can we expand it? Well, we can expand it with adjectives. We can expand it with verbs. We can expand it by expanding the subject and by expanding the predicate. So if I said to you, write a sentence with a compound predicate that includes adjectives, you should be able to do that. And again, check the terms if you don't know those terms because we're building slowly. This is just lesson 3. All right, I'll see you next time.